to the show, everybody. Happy to be in studio. Happy to have you watching. I'm TJ Carpenter, and this is Phantom, putting you at the center of the sports discussion in Dallas. And, of course, as always, you can show your support for this show by going to mybookie.lv, entering promo code PHANTOM, F-A-N-T-O-M, 50% bonus cash on your first deposit. That means you put in $100, you get $50 for free, all the way up into infinity. Although, if you deposit infinity dollars, you should probably be depositing that into everyone else's bank accounts. All right, so today we're going to be talking quite a bit about what the Cowboys aren't doing, why they aren't doing it, and of course also too, we're going to discuss an accusation that's been made. An accusation that's been made by more than one person, although what's-his-face who was on the radio the other day talking shit about Tony Romo, that guy basically accused Jerry Jones of not being all in on winning. Winning is not the number one priority for the Cowboys, is basically what he said. So we're going to talk about that, whether or not that's true. Do you think Jerry Jones is all in on winning for the Cowboys, or do you think his motives are maybe more along the lines of I need to create revenue. I'm trying to make money with this. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But I would say that one does often beget the other. If you are a very good winning franchise, if you're all in on winning, chances are that you're probably going to be making quite a bit of money as well. So the notion that Jerry Jones wouldn't be all in on winning is odd to me. It is a pretty strong accusation, though. You're basically questioning the integrity of a man who's been owning a team for 3 decades and has always made a very big show of saying that the Cowboys are all in on winning. So if that's not true, I think you need to have pretty strong evidence to back that up, and I don't necessarily think that there is any to say that Jerry Jones doesn't want to win, number one priority in the organization. Now, we can debate whether or not he has the right strategy, but his devotion to winning, I don't think, needs to be called into question. I think that's an odd thing to question about Jerry Jones. Want to thank everybody for watching. As always, please share this video with your friends. Share, 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 share. I'm getting killed in the shares column by Ari Temkin, who, granted, knows a lot more about the Cowboys than I do. That's totally fine. But, you know, I got jokes. I'm coming with jokes. I get some credit for that, don't I? Please share this with everybody. Get them to share it. I would like to have a sharing competition of some sort. We'll start in March. Well, it is March. We'll start later. At some point, we will have a sharing competition wherein my show will compete with Ari's show, and whoever has the most shares, which he's just crushing me right now, whoever has the most likes. I want to do shares, though. Whoever has the most shares wins something and forces it. The other person has to do something embarrassing. So if I get more shares than Ari has to, I don't know, like, you know, wear a pink Romo jersey and stand on the side of the freeway in Dallas holding a sign saying, you know, I'm a Romo-sexual or something like that. I would love to see Ari make a fool out of himself in that regard, but in reality, I would probably be the one wearing the tutu on the side of the highway, declaring my love for Tony Romo. Let's get into this. Let's get into some comments here. First and foremost, Robert in the house, Chris Bennett, Michael Lafferty, Rick Shelker, as always. Chris is in, Daniel. Let's see, who else we got? Kerry Carlton Jr. What's up, Kerry? Thomas is in the house. What's up, Thomas? Gerard, is that Gerard or Jared? Gerard William Parker. Not enough of the offseason to determine that yet. Has been firm with the money, which can be good for us if the players are available to replace those we lose. Let's hope they are and can give this year a good run. So I'm making this declaration now that the Cowboys literally just signed a player. So the key word here is the Cowboys won't sign big free agents. They're not going to sign big free agents. There is no major name out there that they're going to go after because they can't afford it. They're going to try to pay the 4 players that you see right next to me. They're going to try to pay all 4 of those guys, which is unrealistic. I think it's a fool's errand. They're going to try. They're going to try to stretch the salary cap expansion over the next 2 years as far as it can possibly go. But the problem with that is that you can't add to your roster if that's what you're going to try to do. To retain, there's two lanes, right? Acquisition of new talent, retention of existing talent. And the Cowboys are pretty squarely in the retention of existing talent lane. They're not adding new talent to this roster. In fact, they're letting a lot of talent walk. They've already let Cole Beasley walk. It looks like Jeff Swaim has walked. I don't know what's going to happen with DeMarcus Lawrence. That's a big problem. We talked about this on yesterday's show. The franchise tag is the worst mechanism in sports. I fucking hate the franchise tag. It's the worst. Franchise tag is so terrible. Hate it. So we're gonna get into that a little bit as well. But we talked about it yesterday. Like I think that the Cowboys caused themselves more problems than they needed to with DeMarcus Lawrence by giving him the franchise tag. You didn't need to do that. But nevertheless, I mean, they really need to get a deal done before July 15th. They need to, because if they go into the season on the franchise tag, DeMarcus Lawrence is not going to play at least part of the season for the Cowboys. If he does sign his franchise tender, it'll be late, and then after he signs the franchise tender, he will then have surgery and then not play in those games, and so it won't matter that he misses because he was going to miss anyways. That's how that works, man. That's how that works. As much as you may want to use a player's injuries against him in contract negotiations, he can absolutely weaponize his own injuries as well against you. And that's exactly what's happened here, and that's why I hate the franchise tag, because the franchise tag creates this combative relationship between the team and the player, and then the fans are caught in the middle having to pick sides between a player that they like and their favorite team. And I don't know why the franchise tag still exists. It does nothing but cause problems. It has not served its purpose whatsoever in the course of its existence. And I think that the franchise tag came in around 90. The salary cap came in around 97. I think the franchise tag was a little bit after that. But it's like the franchise tag doesn't serve the function of what it was intended to do. It was intended to try to limit player cross-pollination or player movement around the league. They wanted to keep players in the cities that drafted them because they felt like that was good for the health of the league. And it has not been good for the health of the league. It's been the exact opposite. It's created contentiousness between organizations and players and fans. No one's happy anytime anybody gets the franchise tag. Have you ever been happy? You're like, oh, thank God they franchise tagged that guy. No, that statement has never been uttered in the history of the franchise tag. That phrase, oh, I'm so glad they used the franchise tag. Never. It's never been uttered. Let's see here. Rick says, Emmanuel Ogba. Okay. Daniel, oh shit, thought he was going to be mentoring one of us, LOL. Cody, what did Cody say? Cody, what did you do? You're getting a lot of likes. Let's get Barry. Are you talking about Eric Berry with his falcon foot? Yeah, Eric Berry's, by the way, as somebody who's, who personally has covered Eric Berry for a number of years, Eric Berry is one of the coolest stories in the league. He's a cancer survivor, made the Pro Bowl after recovering from chemotherapy, and his cancer going into remission, all that stuff. It was really, really amazing to see what Eric Berry did after that cancer diagnosis. And also, too, to see how it changed him. He is a much more pensive, thoughtful, gracious person after that, after experiencing that. And I just have to say, personally, from a personal perspective, I think Eric Berry is spectacular. He's really, really good when healthy. He's one of the hardest hitters in the league. I think that Eric Berry would be good. I think it would be really, really good for the Dallas Cowboys. But he will probably be too expensive. And as we've talked about already, they're not really adding talent. They're not adding talent to their roster. They're doing the opposite of that. They're just strictly trying to retain their existing talent. And whether you like it or not, that's the reality of the situation. Now, to the second question of today's show. Does this mean that Jerry Jones is not all in, as he's been accused of, on winning? Sean says the Cowboys' future stadium is on a giant yacht. Daniel, guys, a situational pass rush by Clay Matthews. What do you think, TJ fans? Yeah, situational pass rusher. If Clay Matthews, sure, but Clay Matthews is a shell of himself. As what he used to be. I mean, that basically Clay Matthews is like Tamba Hali at the end of his career. Do you want Tamba Hali? No, I mean Tamba Hali destroyed his body throughout his playing career, and that's why he had a relatively short career. I mean, he lasted a lot longer than I thought he was going to, but. I think Clay Matthews at this point, his body just can't take it. He can't take it anymore, which is what sucks about the league, is that eventually the league, unless you play quarterback and you're Tom Brady, who's the only person in the history of the league who's been able to play this long, this effectively, other than him, the league will always catch you eventually. Physically, that will always catch up to you. Hasn't caught up to Brady, but he's the exception to the rule. Everybody else has to play by the rules of physics, and Clay Matthews is no exception. Michael says, RKA, did Ari give you the in moniker? Talking about Robert? I don't know who Robert is. I didn't see that comment. Rick says, TJ, I'm not going to comment on your show anymore until you wear a Mr. Meeseek shirt. I need to get a Mr. Meeseek shirt. It just says existence is pain right here. That's what I call Jason Garrett, because Jason Garrett just seems to me to be very much, if you're familiar with Rick and Morty, you know exactly what I'm referencing. Just the demeanor of a Meeseeks, that's Jason Garrett all over. He's just like eternally optimistic about dog shit. And it's just like, I don't know what to do with that. Robert says, nope, that's my YouTube name. Okay, all right. Carrie, D-Law is fucking himself by not having surgery already. I mean, I think you're right there, but I also think that this is one of the unfortunate consequences of the franchise tag, is that it embitters the player. You've been there before, haven't you? We've all been in that situation before, where we don't want to acknowledge that we're stuck. We are forced into a situation. We don't want to acknowledge it. And so DeMarcus Lawrence is really playing the only card he can play here, which is refusal. He always has the right of refusal. He can always refuse. And that's his only card, and that's the only card he can play. And that's the unfortunate thing, is that if you create an imbalanced relationship, it will create animosity, and that animosity will mean that it is much more difficult to get what you want. The personal pride of DeMarcus Lawrence notwithstanding, like, what are we going to do? Are the Cowboys fans going to start just villainizing DeMarcus Lawrence for refusing to play? You're going to villainize DeMarcus Lawrence at the beginning of this offseason was a fan favorite. Like, oh, I love DeMarcus Lawrence. He's amazing. He's one of the best players in the league. Elite level pass rusher. We are so lucky to have DeMarcus Lawrence, and he's not signing his franchise tag. Fuck that guy. That's exactly how this whole thing has gone. And it's really only specific to the fact that the franchise tag exists, and it shouldn't. It's just a way to. It just pisses people off, and I don't know why they do that. Peter says instead of the franchise tag, they should do something like restricted free agent when the home team has a chance to match any other offer. I agree with that, Peter. I think that's correct. Devono says spending money in free agency comes down to value at a position. We can't justify spending big money on players that won't help us win. Do you think DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't help you win? Do you think Earl Thomas? I mean, look, if you had to rank all of your players that you have to play who are already on the team, so they get a little bit of a leg up, right, since they're already on your team, and you know how they're going to play in a Cowboys uniform to some extent with this group of players, with these coaches. There's a little bit. You have a lot more knowledge to base your decision on a player who's already on the team off of than a free agent, because you have no idea how they're going to react to the environment, whether or not they're going to mesh with the other players in the locker room, whether or not coaches are going to like. There's a lot of questions. So there's more uncertainty with a free agent. But if you had to rank them, and you said, okay, who's at the top? DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence is the best player available to you as a Cowboy, as the Cowboys. So DeMarcus Lawrence is number one. Zeke Elliott's probably number two. Then I'd probably go with either Landon Collins or Earl Thomas. Then Amari Cooper is below them. And then, you've got Dak Prescott, who's all the way at the bottom. But you could probably weight him and say he's more important because he's a quarterback, whatever. But I would say that, in terms of priorities, they did the most important thing, which was address the DeMarcus Lawrence issue. Now, DeMarcus Lawrence is, the way that they addressed it was bad, but they at least they are prioritizing the best player available to them the right way, which is DeMarcus Lawrence. But also, as we mentioned, and I said this on Ari's show in the comments, the fact that you have all 4 of these players to pay and you're going to try to pay all of them basically prohibits you from going after any free agents. Let's see. Sean says trade Boston or bust. Daniel, a good slot would be that receiver from Ohio State, the one that they said was the leader of the receiving corps for slot. Cody says Eric Berry with a falcon foot, cancer survivor, better than Jeff Heath, 100% healthy. That's so true, Cody. It is. That's 100% true. No question. Eric Berry is really, really good when healthy. Healthy Eric Berry, Eric Berry is a tremendous human being, and I cannot stress that enough. Chris says, give me Eric Berry on chemo over Jeff Heath. That is brutal. That is brutal. Peter says, Lil Jordan for slot. Charles, Jerry is full of shit. Thank you, Charles. I haven't seen you comment, but thank you. And that's a good first comment. Jerry is full of shit. And you don't have to censor yourself, Charles. We will say shit on this show. I say shit all the time. Carrie says, this is Jerry's all in. Why do you think we're in a drought? Chris says, Lil Jordan Humphrey is a much better wide receiver than what he did at the Combine. Daniel, LOL, I'm just trying to get... By the way, the Combine, totally worthless. Anybody who is worth their weight in salt is going to tell you that there is zero scouting. There is zero knowledge to be gleaned from the Combine. The Combine is basically an excuse for all of these personnel types to get together, get hammered drunk, eat steaks in Indianapolis. And by the way, good steaks in Indianapolis. If you're not familiar with Indianapolis, it is a convention center city. Basically, if you work for any type of corporation, they will send you to Indianapolis for 3 days, where you just get to eat steak and drink a lot of alcohol and hopefully remember something from the symposiums that they sent you to go learn something about sales or whatever. That's Indianapolis. But that's all it is. The Combine is useless. It's just a reason for personnel people around the league to get together and talk shit about each other. Daniel says, LOL, I'm just trying to get ready to feel dress this gash of a wound that is coming for us on our D-line. Yeah, Daniel, that's some truth, man. That is some harsh truth. Thomas, what about DeMarcus Ware? DeMarcus Ware is not coming out. We've already talked about this. It's like the seal in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Once you cross the path, once you cross the threshold into Dancing with the Stars, you are no longer allowed in the league. You are out of the league entirely. You are not allowed to play NFL football once you've been on Dancing with the Stars. It's a rule. It's a natural law. It's the law of the Holy Grail of Dancing with the Stars. Sean says Jerry is all in on his bottle of $500 scotch. Every night, man. Cody, I'd love to have Humphrey for Isabella. Sure. Carrie, he's retired for good. Talking about DeMarcus Ware. Thomas Baker, he was joking about coming back. Robert, sorry, pay $20 million and I'd be happy as fuck. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Robert. That's why we always turn against the player, because we're like, $20 million. Of course you take that. But that's the problem, is that football players are being told constantly by their agents, don't take that deal. Don't take the franchise deal. Don't do that. You're worth more. You have higher value than that. Your value is higher. You're one of the top 5 pass rushers in the league. You deserve top 5 money. You deserve a contract. You deserve guarantees. And so when you have agents in your ear telling you, you're more valuable, you're more valuable, of course, it's easy to believe that, isn't it? If somebody told you it's your job and you're making, let's say you're making $50,000 a year. If you're making $50,000 a year and then your boss comes to you and says, well, look, we're gonna pay you. You know, we know that you're good. We know that you're one of our favorite salespeople, and we're going to give you a raise. But it's only going to be on 1-year contract, and also we're forcing you to take this money, and we're not going to negotiate with you anymore. And then you have somebody else come in and say, look, I can get you a deal way better than that. You need to refuse to play, because if you get hurt, you're done. If you get put out for any reason, you're done, and then you're not going to get the contract you deserve, that you've earned. And it's very easy for people to buy into I'm worth more than what I'm being told I'm worth. That's very, very easy for people to buy into. So of course athletes are going to hold out. Of course they are. They're being told every single day that they're special and that they're worth more. And then you're going to get mad at them for being human? I don't understand that. Because we as individuals would react the same way if we're being told every day that we're worth more than what we're being offered. I can get you more. You're better than this. I can get you more. Hold out. Carrie says, ask Val how that worked out for him. He got out of Pittsburgh, which is kind of what he wanted. Charles, I don't think we are ever, and I would say too, the organization, the Pittsburgh Steelers, basically alienated their 2 best offensive weapons for no reason. And that was their prerogative. We'll see whether or not that has really negative consequences for them, especially after Big Ben leaves. Chris says prayers to New Zealand. I was going to wait a little bit to get to this, but since Chris brought it up in the comments, I'll say it now. I feel terrible about what happened in New Zealand, in Christchurch, New Zealand. I think the death count at this point is 49 people. If you're not familiar with what happened, a couple of mosques in Christchurch got shot up. There was a gunman, had some kind of manifesto, all that stuff. It's terrible. It really, really is. And if we don't need to get political or religious or anything like that. I will just simply say this, because I think this is a really good theme and a really good thought anytime something like this happens, which is, we always argue about ideology, and we always argue about issues, and we always argue about laws. This happened in another country, so the law aspect of this is not nearly as big, but the Islamophobia aspect of it it's a really big topic right now on social media. And I would just say, instead of doing that, instead of talking about ideologies and how they may or may not corrupt people, or why they may or may not be misrepresented in popular culture, just always default back to this one truism. I think it's the most true thing for any person, regardless of what you believe. Treat your life seriously. Love life. Because if you love life, then you're not going to try to cost other people theirs, and you're not going to try to end your own. Regardless of what you take, regardless of what you're passionate about, what you believe, what you're obsessive about, always just prioritize life over everything else. And I think most people do that, but sometimes we need a reminder. And I think these are really good opportunities to remind people that unless everybody treats their own lives with the dignity that they deserve, things like this are going to keep happening, And if you follow that path, follow the path to life. That's the best advice I can give anybody. So hopefully you appreciate that sentiment. We don't need to talk anymore about it, but certainly, yes. For those who pray, I'm sure you're praying for those people, and for those who don't, I'm sure they're in your thoughts. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'll catch up to some comments here. G says, dang, for real? Talking to Chris. Chris says he Facebook lived the entire shooting. I have not seen that footage. I woke up to it this morning, not really knowing what had happened. Look, there's some messed up stuff that happens in this world, man. 49 people getting shot for no reason, that's terrible. Regardless of what they believe or what their ideologies are, today is not the day to talk about ideologies. It just isn't, because ideologies aren't as important as life, And I know that there's probably some disagreement out there on that ideologies are less important than life. But I would say, just base your philosophy as a human being off of what you see and observe and feel in your own world, And the one thing that you know without a doubt, whether you believe it's a simulated reality or there's a God or there's not a God or this is the right God and that's the wrong God or whatever, regardless of your belief system, the one thing that you know for sure that is absolutely true is that you exist, that you are aware of what's happening. I would say keep being aware. Try to continue your awareness as much as possible and as long as possible. Live life to the fullest. Live as long a life as you can. If you always keep that in the forefront, you'll prevent, and I think that ideology, it's infectious, right? I think that's something that's true that everybody can understand. And if you see somebody who's struggling with something or maybe is a little too down a rabbit hole of an ideology, just remind them, like, hey man, life is like, really just emphasize you got to love life. Let's see. Michael says, can't we all just get along? Nope. To this point in human history, the answer to that question, Michael, is no, we cannot. Daniel says, I don't want to Cody, really don't want to, but the value and picks we could get would be awesome. I think they see he likes it here. They are going to keep him. Talking to Daniel, who I'm guessing was talking about DeMarcus Lawrence. Daniel says, laugh my ass off. Didn't I remember the Cowboys QB being traded? Let's see here. Cody saying, first I've heard of it too. Daniel, he's been great, I admit it. Amari Cooper has been phenomenal. Amari Cooper has been tremendous. Let's see. Charles says, are you crazy? Cooper helped save our season. Yeah, no, Cooper's amazing. Yeah, Cooper has been so good. My concern with Amari Cooper is this. He had the drops. In fact, he had one of the worst drop rates of any wide receiver in the league. I think if you put him out on efficiency, Brad Evans, who does fantasy football for Yahoo Sports, he came on our morning show here in Denver and has said this multiple times. He said, look, I would stay away from Amari Cooper because he drops too many passes, especially downfield wide open passes. And if you go on YouTube, just do an Amari Cooper drops search, and there's highlights of how much Amari Cooper drops the ball as an Oakland Raider. He didn't drop any passes as a Cowboy. And so I don't know if it was like a newfound focus for him or if it was just better chemistry with Dak Prescott or what it was, but I don't know if it's sustainable yet. I don't know if he's going to come back this season and then just automatically be great and not drop any passes again this season. There's still probably a little bit of like whatever was wrong with him in Oakland probably still exists a little bit upstairs. So, we'll see whether or not he gets the drops or not this coming season. But I'm not saying that don't be excited about Amari Cooper. Be excited because he's really good and he's been great for the Cowboys. But don't assume that his problems in Oakland aren't going to rear their head again in Dallas this coming season. Don't think, and I would say don't be surprised if he does drop a big pass. If he drops some huge touchdown pass, and you're like, oh, how did he drop that? He never drops passes. Yeah, he does. He dropped a ton of passes in Oakland. You just didn't see it. So we'll see whether or not that comes true or not. Carrie says, first I've heard in Arkansas, shout out from Arkansas, prayers for the people. Carrie, thank you very much for that. And Woo Pig Suey. Chris, I saw that footage. It's really bad. Daniel, I'm not saying that he isn't great, but I'm starting to believe more in a rebuild now. Wade, ideology typically leads to the loss of life. Cody says, Thomas wanted way too much. Clinton Dix could have been a logical option, but he really wasn't that good last year. Yeah, like I said, there's ebbs and flows with every player. Rick says, you are so right about the franchise tag. It takes away from the honest negotiations between players and organizations. Get rid of the tag and salary cap and put in a luxury tax like Major League Baseball. Okay. Yeah. I instead of making the salary cap go away, I would raise the salary. I think the salary cap is too slow. It's like it's kind of like the minimum wage. I can't really compare it to anything else, but the minimum wage is the reference point for the minimum wage is $0, right? I'll explain it this way. So this is what gauge theory is. Gauge theory is bringing in a reference point to describe something that isn't technically in that environment. So sea level is a really good example. If I asked you what the height of Mount Everest was, you'd say 25,000 feet and change. And I would say, very good. 25,000 feet above what? And you would say sea level. Right. Obviously, there's no ocean in the Himalayas in Nepal, so Mount Everest is, you're bringing in a reference point to describe how tall that mountain is. You're not measuring it from the nearest point of like flatland in Nepal. You're measuring it from sea level. So that's what gauge theory is. Instead of bringing in, the minimum wage doesn't adjust for inflation, right? It's static, right? It stays. They're measuring $7.50 an hour from zero. They're not measuring $7.50 above the purchasing power in your economy, which is, that means that your minimum wage would change all the time. And so what was I going to say about that? Salary cap. So like the salary cap is like minimum wage. It doesn't keep up with the rate of inflation and the rate of increased value of players over the course of the league. They increase the salary cap every year, but it's not really a big enough increase. They should probably increase it to about, it's like $191 million. There should be a big jump in there somewhere where it jumps up to like $270 million. It needs to be about $100 million higher. I said 80. $100 million higher than it is right now in order to pay players what their market value is without putting too much of a strain on teams. And if that were the case, then the Cowboys wouldn't be in the issue that they're currently in. But unfortunately, they are, and the rules are what they are. But yeah, the salary cap should definitely be higher. Michael says, "Killing in God's name, pathetic." That's, I've seen churches get shot up. I've seen mosques get shot up. I've seen synagogues get shot up. The one consistency is that the people who do it have convinced themselves that life is less important than their ideology. Whatever their ideology is, or whatever ideology they hate the most, they've convinced themselves that ideology, that way of thinking is more important than life. And that's why I said love life. That's the most important thing, because that's how you distort things. That's how you go off the rails. So you start rationalizing things on an extreme level, and it just gets really, really dirty really fast. Daniel says, "Yeah, way too much. It wasn't about football anymore." Daniel says, "Not in here." Zachary, all in means make this shit happen. Sean says, if people believe in a God, then they know it really wanted someone dead. If it really wanted someone dead, it could do it himself without any problem. Cody, I just think Cooper secretly wanted out of Oakland, to be honest. Sean says, he dropped an easy touchdown bomb in the playoffs. Oh, right. Yeah, he got away from Carr. That was a really big. I do think that helped Amari Cooper. Getting away from Derek Carr and getting into the fold with Dak Prescott was a plus. I think the move to Dallas has been wholly positive for Amari Cooper. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if he starts dropping balls again next season. Let's see. Daniel says, I'm not going to say I'm not. I'm all about the love today. Cody says, God is the man. Wade says, hashtag fuck fairy tales. Daniel, but let's just stay away from QB talk today. I'm nice today. Right. We can talk about gun violence and whether or not God exists, and we can talk about Islamophobia. We can talk about free agency. Just don't talk about quarterbacks, for the love of God. Just don't talk quarterbacks. Let's see. Michael, I see your cornflakes were pea free today. Congrats. That's good. Daniel, it's going to be all right there, Poe. LOL. Talking to Wade. Daniel, man, woosah. I don't know what that means. Oh, Sean says, TJ, trim up the right side of your beard, man. It's making my OCD go crazy. Yeah, thanks a lot. You know what? thank you for mentioning that, because I have been told by my wife that my lopsided beard it's a problem, that people can notice it and it looks weird. And she has said, no, you can't notice it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. And I said, look, the hair on this side of my face grows differently than the hair on this side of my face. And so it's kind of like, it kind of pops straight out on this side, and this side is like lays flat up against my face. But you're right, it does look weird. It really bothers me. But yeah, it's like I don't have a trimmer. You know, I always do it with scissors. So not an exact science. Daniel, I prefer almond milk. Charles says, haven't we been in rebuild mode since we brought in Zeke and let Dak take over for Romo? Yeah. They're close to not being in rebuild mode, and they're trying not to get back to rebuild mode because they just got out of a rebuild mode. Cody says, we're out of milk. I had to put some water on that shit. Wade, I know I'll be fine. I'm a realist. I don't fall prey to the world's oldest hoax. Religion has killed more than cancer. I piss on the notion of a deity. Either it didn't exist or it's an asshole. Either way, it's not deserving of praise. Yeah, I would say that I'm probably more on Wade's side there than most people. I would tend to agree with that. Zach, although I don't know if religion has killed more than cancer, just because I don't know how long cancer's been around. Probably forever. I'm just going to guess. Let's see. Zachary says, Cooper won't drop the big TD. The big TD will go to Witten. Cody says, it happens more and more and will more in the future because of social media, to be honest. These fuck-ups want attention from the world and to be talked about, but that's a whole other topic. Chris wants to know if I'm still buried in snow. I'm not, although there are mountains of snow now around our neighborhood. It's 40 degrees today. It was 60 degrees. Next day, snow hurricane. Next day, no one can move. Day after that, 50 degrees again. That's how that works. Cody says Tannehill just traded to the Titans. God. That whole region of the country, teams like the Dolphins, the Titans, all those teams just piss me off. All of those teams, the Dolphins, the Titans, the Bucks, the Panthers, they all suck. They just make terrible choices. What would you even use Tannehill in Tennessee for? What? You're gonna try to bring him in just in case Marcus Mariota gets hurt? Because he gets hurt all the time? I guess. Why would you pay Tannehill? Why would you pay him? Ridiculous. Chris just says chatterbait. Sean, my ideology is in completely symmetrical facial hair. Bend to my will, damn it. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about this. I can't get it. I can't get it to stay. It's just gonna flip back up. I guess I could try to fluff this side. What if I do that? Does that work? Is that better for you? You like that? G says, "Damn it, I see it now." Yeah, I know. It's freaking weird. I don't like it. Let's see. Sean Moore says Patriots stay in rebuild mode from season to season. They stay in reload mode. You're always in reload mode with Tom Brady. Cody, I don't say yet, but that opens up a whole new draft board. Dolphins could take a QB, trade for Rosen, or Titans could trade Mariota. We just have Tannehill as a backup. It's so weird. That's an odd trade to me. Let's see what else we got going on here. Cody, they could trade for, you guessed it, there's still a chance. Juan, will the Cowboys please make some free agent moves? No, they won't. They're not going to make any free agent moves. Sorry, they're just not going to do it. If you're waiting for free agency moves, big free agency moves from the Cowboys, you're going to be disappointed. By the way, really quickly before we get out of here. Oh, Wade saying, I wouldn't let Tannehill serve me fries. He'd drop them or give them to someone else. That is a great line. That is really good. Okay, all right, so what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, the Mavericks. The Rex played the Nuggets last night, and it was fantastic. It was a great game. The Ricks had it down to the wire. Luka Doncic, 10 seconds to go, gets a slam dunk, great play, moves to the basket, takes the lead with 5.8 seconds to go. And people could not have been more excited to see Luka Doncic on the road lead his team to a victory. Problem is that Luka Doncic hits that shot, or makes that dunk, leaves 5.8 seconds on the clock. Didn't wait long enough. And then Nikola Jokic, granted, and Luka Doncic had his Rookie of the Year moment right there. And it was like, yeah, Rookie of the Year, it's going to be on SportsCenter. And then potential MVP of the league, Nikola Jokic. It's a bunch of Euro players. Nikola Jokic hits the fadeaway as time expires, nails it. The Nuggets win by 1, and then you're just pissed off because then you realize it's like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. The Mavericks season is a sham. Basically, Dirk Nowitzki is just he's the rib cage of a water buffalo, just roasting on the Serengeti. And the Nuggets are vultures, just picking off every last piece of meat off those bones. So that at the end of the season, hopefully it will mercifully end. And then Luka Doncic can then take his rightful place as the Chosimba one of the Dallas Mavericks. Mavs equal 2 words. Draft pick. G saying Luka is the truth. He is. Luka is so good. He is so good, and he's going to get better and better and better. I really, really like that guy. He is terrific. But the Ricks are terrible. The Ricks are dog shit. And granted, being in that game, good for them. There was no chance. And I think people forgot because the Nuggets are basically like the Warriors if everybody forgot the Warriors were in the NBA. That's what the Nuggets are. Because the Nuggets are spectacular. They are so good this year. But nobody knows who they are because nobody has any frame of reference for Denver basketball. Because nobody in Denver really cares about basketball in Denver. So why would anybody else around the country care? Poor Nuggets. Wade, rib cage of a water buffalo, roasting. Laugh my ass off. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Wade. I appreciate you appreciating my humor. Chris says Zion is back. Chris, the Ricks and the Texas basketball team are dog shit. They are. They're really bad. They're really, really bad. And Rick, once again, he is on his high horse about John Kitna. I have never met somebody who is a bigger John Kitna fan than Rick Shelker. That's you keep hammering that home, Rick. That's your wheelhouse. The John Kitna talk. John Kitna will be good for Dak Prescott. That is a very strong assertion. We'll find out whether or not it's accurate this season. Cody, I don't know a fucking thing about basketball. You're talking a foreign language to me right now. Sorry about that. Sean Moore, do the Mavs have a first-round pick this year? I think they're going to have a lottery pick, I think. Rick says, I'm starting to think Rick Carlisle is a Meeseeks. Wade, there's a John Kitna fan? Yeah, his name's Rick Shelker, Wade. G says, Mavs are tanking this season, but next season will be a different story. Hopefully. I mean, it all depends on Kristaps, right? It depends on whether or not he can stay healthy and whether or not they can load up on some other good free agent talent. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I want to thank everybody for watching today. As always, don't forget to support this show by going to mybookie.lv, enter promo code PHANTOM at mybookie.lv. Fastest payouts of any online book. You'll get 50% bonus cash by entering that promo code FANTOM. And when you do, you will also be supporting the show. And I greatly appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for watching the show today. We'll be back on Monday. Later, y'all.